Hello, FITC, Toronto. I always enjoyed drawing from an early age. Then I went to art college and studied graphic design and illustration. I'm only joking. Imagine if our talk was like that. Imagine that for an hour. So, oh, that was meant to be the slide for that, sorry. Rules to my talk. If you need to heckle, please feel free, that's fine. Heckle away. Good. If you get bored, fuck off. If you don't understand something, you're stupid. In the unlikely event of an emergency, close your eyes, hold hands with the person sitting next to you, and wait for the emergency to pass. If I rap, clap. I love it when people match objects perfectly. Thank you. It's great, isn't it?
My name is
Mr. Bingo. And I'm an illustrator, an artist sort of person from here. I'm called Bingo because in 1998 I played bingo in a bingo hall and I won £141 and 27p, and I got the nickname Bingo and I've been called Bingo ever since, and I just added a Mr. to it. So yeah, I've been an illustrator for about 15 years. I've done lots of work in magazines and advertising and posters, book covers, big things on walls and restaurants. Done some stuff on TV.
Good boy.
Why is he called Dave?
The person that had him before me called him Dave.
I've drawn hair. I've done packaging for beer cans. I've animated dogs on skateboards. I've done wallpaper with really weird stuff in it. And when you're an illustrator and you meet people and they say, what do you do? They go, what do you do? And you say, I'm an illustrator. And they always want to know what it looks like. What sort of stuff do you do? And you go, what does it look like? They want to know what it looks like. It's hard to describe what your work looks like. Like for me, I just say it's funny, it's humor. That's the main thing, really. You know, I like drawing stuff like this. I wish I could solve the refugee crisis, but I'm just not equipped with the skills. And basically, all I do, this is what I can do. I draw funny pictures. This is my main thing. Sometimes I have to do work like this for clients, which I don't like and I don't want to do, but this is so I can live in a house. I'd rather be drawing stuff like this, which I'll be talking a little bit more about later. I actually got so bored of being asked to draw boring things by clients that I made this pricing structure list for last year. So I don't know if you can all read that, but it says, an aspirational couple enjoying a picnic is very expensive. A penis riding a motorbike, that's very cheap. So, but yeah, I've always liked doing funny drawings, and I used to do drawings as a kid, so these are my childhood drawings. I think I did these when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I used to be into football and just draw like funny scenes from things going on in football, just playing around with the kind of words that were used in football. And I remember showing these to my friends and my parents and my friends' parents, and people found them funny, and I used to get a really nice reaction from people laughing at the work. This is me in 1989. I went to school dressed as a girl. You paid 50p to charity to go to school in your own clothes. And I persuaded my friend David Silk, who now works very high up at the government, to go to school with me dressed as women. We went in full drag. I got my sister to do hair and makeup. And because I lived in a small village, there's no news in the village because nothing ever happens. The local photographer came down from the newspaper, took a photo of us because he thought it was an interesting thing, because it was the only thing that had happened that week. And we were in the local newspaper for a week on the front cover, and I really liked it. It was very kind of attention-seeking, and I enjoyed that. And I've kind of tried to do the same ever since. I did this picture 2 years later when I was at school. I went to an all-boys school, and I drew a lot of weird kind of torture pictures like this and passed them around the class, because this is what boys want to see, I think. Important pieces of work like this I did when I was 11, the human sandwich. Again, just doing stuff like this. I wasn't very academic, but I was just drawing stuff and trying to get a reaction from people. This is a piece of graphic design I did when I was 13. And it was to advertise a school magazine, which was called The Real Boar, and I decided to depict myself as the Chippendales cock and balls. I don't know why I did that, but I photocopied these and I put them all over the school. It's actually the last piece of graphic design I ever did as well. I went to university and studied graphic design and illustration, and apart from the actual projects that we were set as students, I used to just like doing things for my own personal amusement. So I used to make up these fictitious events, A4 bits of paper, and then put them in laminated posters and put them on lampposts around the town, just for my own amusement. And then when I left university, I didn't really know what I could do. I thought I was kind of good at drawing and humor, and so I just started doing kind of funny things. This is just some sort of personal work. I think that was about daytime TV. Never took myself seriously as an artist, and I still don't, I guess. So this was the first time I was ever in a magazine, and they said, "Can you send a photo in of yourself?" And I didn't have one, so I got my mate to take a photo of me walking through an airport in pajamas, carrying a vintage porn magazine. And what was really nice about looking at this recently is I was talking about what I wanted to be when I was older. It's kind of your aspirations and dreams, like what you want to do when you grow up. And I found this sentence in it, which I really like. My existence is simple. I serve to entertain and amuse. So I kind of said this when I was first starting out, and this is exactly kind of how I still feel about work now. This is the first illustration job I ever did that got noticed. I was asked to draw the entire contents of a British Asian newsagent, and it got noticed for a couple of reasons. One was that it was, so this is 2 double-page spreads in a magazine, and so I had to draw every single thing. So it got noticed because it was a kind of marathon illustration thing. There was just so much work involved and so much stuff in it, but also I got to put a lot of my own tone of voice in and a lot of my own humor, which some people would call maybe edgy. I don't think it is at all. I just think it's normal stuff. But yeah, so I started putting my own jokes in about things like kind of, terrible sort of tabloid newspapers and just kind of the awfulness of society and modern life. And what was really nice is I got to put all these things in, and then they got published in the magazine, and I got paid for it. And so it was a real kind of turning point in my career where I realized that I could actually just be really honest and say what I want to say, and you can actually do that as a job. And then I started doing more funny work. I did a lot of magazine work, a lot of editorial pieces. I think that's about schizophrenia. I can't remember what these are about, I was pleased with this. This is in the Washington Post. And, there's 2 rats fucking in space in the Washington Post. It's great. I got a lot of work in advertising as well, because advertising needs humor because it sells things and makes people feel nice, and then they're more likely to buy the stuff. This is for a vodka advert. And I did some weird animation as well. I collect self-defense books for women from the 70s and 80s, and it was a very different time for self-defense for women back then. For example, this is how to attack someone with an umbrella. If you are assaulted while alone in an underground station, you must deal firmly with your opponent in order to get away. If there is more than one, your defense must be more conclusive. A bunch of keys pushed firmly into your opponent's nostrils will give you ample time to get away from him. So I did a Kickstarter last year for a book. And this is it, and that's a page inside. And it's about a project I did called Hate Mail. And so I'm going to give you a brief sort of rundown about what Hate Mail is about. So I collect postcards. I love vintage postcards. And I've got so many. I've got them sort of in different categories. And so these are my animal collection, some of my favorite ones from that. This is just one which I really like, which is just a dog with some tulips. This is a small horse kicking a big horse. These are some of my favorites from my sort of boring collection. So you've got things like Fawley Power Station, and then you've got a sort of a shit service station off the M4 in the 1960s. This is my most boring postcard. It's a German shipping container. And I like postcards with lots of the same thing in. Don't know why. I like these ones as well, the lenticular ones with naughty ladies. I've got a few of these.
I'm just a little person, one person in a sea of many little people who are not aware of me.
I collect postcards with one person in. I've got 84 of them, but it's a slowly growing collection. So what's really nice about collecting vintage postcards is the things written on the back are always really interesting as well. So a lot of the ones I get are blank, but a lot of them actually have stuff filled in, and so you get this weird voyeuristic view into people's lives in the past. It's really strange. So this is a really typical kind of British postcard. Just came off the beach. The weather is hot with an occasional cold draft. This is a very British postcard, actually, because they're complaining about too much sun. They say, weather's still very hot. We are having to find shelter from the sun. Only one drop of rain. Be home on Sat sometime. Hope the roads are better than what they were coming down. I mean, that's essentially a text message. And these ones are really weird. I bought these together in the same pile of postcards. They're to the same woman, but they're from different people. I think they're brothers, maybe. And I just love little funny details you get, like, we climbed the mountain about 95%. That's 95 out of 100, just assuming that she didn't understand what that was. But also, just the word, they've got the word time written in blue, and the rest is written in red. Don't know why that is. I'd love to know. That's the shortest postcard I've got. And I love how writing used to look 100 years ago. So, this one on the left is from 1917, and the one on the right is from 1914. And it's just so beautiful, and I feel like handwriting's kind of lost its way over the years, and it's not as good as this anymore. So I really love these. These kind of really influence the way I want to write. And then I love renegades, when people do stuff like this, and they've turned it around 90 degrees to write their message. And here's a typed one, and I love the way they've kind of put this through a typewriter, but they've actually gone around the design of the postcard as well. It's really nice. And this one, a 45-degree angle. Beautiful writing as well. And this one, I don't know what it means. Where's George? 1964. But I love the idea that this is maybe, the missing piece to a jigsaw to solve a murder or something. I like this one because on the back, it's got this really beautiful kind of heartfelt message with love and best wishes from Granny. But on the front, she looks like a fucking monster. I think it's just from that time, like black and white photo time, and it wasn't cool to smile in photos. So anyway, I collect postcards, and I've got loads of them, and I was looking at them while I was in my studio one night on my own. I was a bit drunk, possibly a bit lonely, and I was looking at my postcards, and I thought, why don't I send a postcard to someone? I love postcards. I should send a postcard to someone. So I went onto Twitter, of course, and I said this: I will send a postcard with an offensive message on to the first person who replies to this. Weirdly, about 50 people replied in the first minute saying, please, please, me. And the winner was a guy called Jonathan Hopkins. I sent him this, fuck you, Jonathan, fuck you, and fuck your shit legs. I took a photo of this, put it on the internet, and people really enjoyed it. And started sharing it and talking about it. And then I started getting requests from all over the world. Well, probably about 3 people, but saying, please, can you send us offensive postcards? We want them. And because I'm an entrepreneur, I set up a business called Hate Mail on my website, and I started charging strangers. I invited strangers to pay me for me to send them offensive postcards. And they did. They really loved it. There's 3 really simple rules to this project. No requests. So you can't request anything. Basically, you get what you're given. You can send it to anyone. It can be to yourself. It can be to a loved one. It can be to a stranger. And it's not my fault if you're sad or you feel suicidal because of what you got. It's not my fault. It's in the small print. So lots of people ordered them. It went really crazy. And here's some examples of hate mails that I sent. And I really like art that interacts with people, I've always really been into this. I love social media. I love Twitter and Instagram. I reply to anyone that sends me a message on there, and I just really like it. So this girl, actually, a few years ago, she's an amateur model, and she sent me a tweet saying, if Mr. Bingo did a portrait of me, it would make my year. So I sent her that. And I just really like that weird interaction you have with strangers. Some of them are regional. And I really care about details. So, this is a real scene from Cardiff that I found on the internet to draw. It's not made up. So that's the Isle of Wight off the UK coast. Sometimes couples order them, so you could put both of them in it. If anyone here plays sports, please be aware of animals on the pitch. Just be aware of that, Just be aware of it. I like using up as much space I can on them sometimes. Love typography. Got 600 of these to show. Well, I like stuff like this. This is probably one of the harshest ones I've ever done, actually. This one's really sad. You know, you could send this to anyone and it would break them. But it was really nice. Just actually woke up this morning and someone on Instagram had posted this, which was really lovely. And they gave me a little credit for it. So I love the fact that you can put these funny messages out there and then they end up kind of going into the world and kind of doing their own thing and other people using them. It's so nice. So the problem with my business of hate mail was that basically the demand outstripped the supply. So I couldn't do these things fast enough, and I couldn't get anyone else to do them. I'm the only one in the world that can do these, I think. It's quite arrogant, I know. But yeah, after 3 days of launching the service, I actually had to close it because I had too many orders. So it closed after 3 days, and then ever since then, it's had this weird kind of sort of cult status, and I've only ever opened it over the years for a few minutes at a time, and I kind of announce it on social media, and then it sells out in minutes. I love this person here. I don't know, have you heard of Take That? I don't know if that's a really English reference. Quite a big band. But anyway, this woman said, it's as stressful as getting tickets for Take That, circa 1993. Yeah, so I kind of announce it and tease people, you know, with social media, and then put these things out there, and then people buy them really quickly. So to date, I've done 1,088 hate mails. And to be honest, I'm kind of running out of ideas because they're all different, and it's kind of like a really difficult brief that I set myself to slag people off in, you know, over 1,000 ways. So I'm kind of scraping the barrel now with these ones, and they're getting more obscure and just getting more niche, really, because yeah. By the way, I don't know any of these people. They're all strangers, and I don't look them up or anything because that would be bullying. It's just random abuse that they get. So I talk to people about this, and they say, why are you doing this? What's wrong with you? Are you evil? Are you a devil? Did you have a difficult childhood or something? You know, what is all this for? And I go, no, it's just comedy. It's just a joke. There's nothing wrong with me. It's just having a laugh. And then I sort of think about it, and I started looking at some of them. I thought, maybe I am evil. Maybe there is something wrong with me, and I'm terrible because, you know, actually, most people do disappoint me, if I'm honest. And I fucking hate people that talk into their phone like that. Why do people do that? I hate people that, you know, men that go to work like this on little scooters in suits. I hate blokes that look like this and go out and... I hate white people. You know, you've got that friend that bored the shit out of everyone on Wednesday night, and you can't tell them that because that's too rude. You've got to keep your relationships normal and stuff, but I can kind of let this stuff out, and I feel like it's a bit of a sort of lethargic release. You know, I'm getting to actually send this stuff out I think about real people to strangers, which is really nice. I hate Facebook. This is, I don't know, about 90% of my life. And I don't know if any of you have this thing, but I have this thing called silent Tourette's. I call it silent Tourette's. And it's when you see something, but you don't say it out loud, you just think it in your head. So it's like, fucking wanker. But yeah, anyway, people really liked hate mail, and it did really well. It's this kind of funny, what I love about it is it's just a funny, drunken idea that I had one night, and it turned into this much bigger thing. And it got sort of taken seriously as art, and it got a lot of press. It got talked about all over the world in magazines, and, you know, some really big newspapers covered it. This is one in Canada, actually, the National Post. Interestingly, when I am in the news, I'm the only fun bit of news that happens that day, which is quite sad. And then it got taken seriously as art, and it started getting exhibited in galleries in a few different countries, which is great. So I love the fact that it was such a stupid idea, and then you've got people sort of stroking their chins, looking at this stuff on walls, and suddenly it becomes art. It even had its own beer bottle at one point. And it's funny, when you're known for doing horrible work, you start getting personal commissions for people to do work. So this was actually just a few weeks ago. Some guy got in touch and said, I want to do a card to send to people that weren't invited to my wedding. And I was like, you've basically come to the best person in the world to do that. So, yeah. Yeah, so that was fun. And talking of weddings, actually, I got this email from this guy called Ben, and he said, what did he say? We briefly met at your book signing. You'd just signed somebody's penis. That's irrelevant, but that did happen. He basically said, can you do a wedding cake topper for my wedding? We're getting married in a couple of months, whatever. And we really like your work, and we just want to put something on the top of the cake. And I said, all right, how much money have you got? And he said, I've got £150. And I went, that's not very much money. I tell you what, I don't really do jobs for £150, but here's the rules. I'll do it for that. And I'll give you whatever I want to do. There's no client amends, there's no feedback, there's no second round, and whatever I give you, you have to put on the cake. And he agreed to it, and we did that, which is great. I don't know who these people are. I love the fact that happened at a wedding. It's so weird. Dancing with Cats is one of my favourite books, and what I really like about Dancing with Cats is it does exactly what it says on the cover. It's literally just people dancing with cats. It's really good. I really recommend it. So in 2003, a man called Martin Ollie wrote a letter to a magazine. He'd seen my work in it. And so I was an up-and-coming illustrator, and they put my work in the magazine. It was called .NET, and it said, here's some up-and-coming artist. Have a look at their work. Check out their website. And this guy really didn't like it. And so this was a time, sort of 14 years ago, where internet and comments and that kind of stuff wasn't so sort of prevalent, and people actually used to write letters to magazines, and then magazines used to print them. Can you believe that? Can you imagine that? And he wrote this letter, and he said, Mr. Bingo's work, quite frankly, represents... Oh, yeah, have any of you seen John Bergerman talk here before? Yeah? So one person. All right. Yeah, so he used to be called BiroWeb, so it's actually about him as well. So it says, Mr. Bingo and BiroWeb's work quite frankly represents what preschool kids are producing every day at kindergartens all over the world. There is no talent, composition, or thought put into the work at all. It's badly drawn and executed, and the subject matter leaves a lot to be desired. It goes on and on. He really hates it. And I thought, okay, Martin, I'm going to try and become successful and put you in as many bits of work as possible. And that's what I did. And so this is one of the first ones I did, and I just put him in this editorial piece and wrote Martin Ollie permanently thick on a marker pen. This is one I did in a book I did in 2010 on the back of a page. And I was interviewed once, and they said, do you want to hand out any fuck yous? And I said, yes, Martin Ollie. And this is my favourite one I've done. So this is something I did on a restaurant called Byron Hamburgers in South Kensington in London. And I did this big piece on the wall, and in the middle of the bowling pin, I just wrote that. So people sit and eat their dinner on that every night and don't really understand why it says that. This is a packet of stickers I did just for fun, and then on the back you've got instructions, and I just put that on there. It's just getting the message out there, really. And I think this is the last one I did. So this is the book that I'm going to talk to you about in a bit, the Kickstarter book. And when you do a book, you always thank people, and I did a no thanks to him. So yeah, the Kickstarter. I did a Kickstarter for a book. I presume everyone here knows what Kickstarter is. I mean, this is a technology conference. If any of you don't know what Kickstarter is, just leave. Just leave. So why did I use Kickstarter? Well, firstly, you can do whatever you want. That's what I like about it. So I had a book published by Penguin Books a few years ago, and it was fine, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. I hated the fact that I had to compromise and work with other people, and it just wasn't the thing that I wanted to do. So with Kickstarter, you can do anything, which is amazing. It's your baby, it's your thing. I love that. And so, this is the book. It's really expensively made. I made it in the most expensive way possible. No publisher ever would have touched this or spent the money that I did on it, just because it doesn't work for them numbers-wise. So you can do whatever you want. You don't have to invest your own money, which is great. You're playing with other people's money. That's quite an interesting concept, and it kind of makes it a lot safer for you. And it's very fun, as I'm about to show you. When you do a Kickstarter, the most important thing, or one of the most important things, is the video at the top of the page. So you get this rectangle to put your video in, and it kind of sells your project. It's like an advert for it. It's really important. It gets people to the page, and you need to kind of get their attention in the first few seconds and then show them what you're talking about. And I had a look at a lot of publishing videos just to see what people were doing, and a lot of them are like this. You kind of got just... This is the very lo-fi kind of Kickstarter video where someone's basically just sitting in the bedroom with a laptop, and they've just set it up, and they're looking into it going, hey guys, I've got this awesome project. I want you all to invest. And, it's pretty unimaginative, to be honest. This one I liked. I saw this guy.
Laurie Daly, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, Joe Lydon. What have they all got in common? They're all going to be in my new book, 52, and They all played here at Wembley Stadium. Please come to my account on Kickstarter and support 52, a book about rugby league, rock and roll, and what it means to us.
I just love the lack of effort he's put into that. It's amazing. And he's just like filming, and then it's like, what's the big reveal? It's just an empty rugby stadium. And then he comes back, and then at the end, he does a little smirk because he, like, nailed it. Motherfucker got funded. I can't believe it. So I looked at a lot of other publishing videos, and these are nice ones. And no offense if anyone's done a video on Kickstarter that looks like this. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these, but they're just a bit sort of vanilla. You know, everything just starts looking the same. It's a really nice kind of headshot of the author talking about their project with a slightly sort of blurred background, nice colors. It's just a bit boring, though. I didn't want to do a boring video. I wanted to do something interesting and different. I wanted to do something that would stand out. So I thought I'd make a rap video. And it was also just an excuse to make I've always wanted to make a rap video. And instead of just going, hey, here's a rap video, it's nice to be able to kind of do one with a purpose, you know? So how to make a rap video. So this is how you make a rap video. First of all, you've got to make a rap, right? You can't just make a rap video. You've got to make the song. So there's lots of different styles to rap. Like, I don't know about you, but I've been studying rap for about 30 years, so I know quite a lot about it. And there's so many different styles of rap. So, for example, I'm at FITC and I'm on the stage. I've made a book and you can turn the page. Is one style of rap, but it's a bit 1981. Thank you. And then you've got to think about flow and pace. There's so many different ways of kind of flowing and different speeds. You know, you can kind of take the same beat and you can rap sort of half time or double time over the same beat. For example, I can rap slowly like a blind man on a pony, or I can rap double speed, no time for tumbleweed. These motherfuckers, they drop like Apollo Creed. And then I had to find the perfect beat, and I kept looking, listening to all these different beats and trying to find the right one. And I found this one. I thought it was just perfect. It's really good. I thought I can definitely rap over this. By the way, I'm just talking at the moment. I'm not rapping. And I really liked it. I thought I can flow over this. This will be good. So I need to try and find the person that made this and ask him if I can use it. And I tracked him down. This guy called Eli Sostra, and he lives in Brooklyn, in New York. And I found his email address on the internet, which is brilliant. And I emailed him and said, I sort of sent him this kind of humble email and said, hi, I'm a UK artist and I'm doing a Kickstarter. I was just wondering, is there any chance I could use that the instrumental version of that track you made for the background video for my Kickstarter video? I didn't tell him I was making a fucking single. And he was like, yeah, sure, fam, and some other urban words. And he emailed me the track. It was amazing. He emailed me the track. And so, I had clearance on the song, which was amazing. So next I had to write my rap, and I had to think about the content in it. It needed to be about who I am, introduce me. It needs to be about hate mail. It needs to be about Post and Royal Mail, the hate mail story. What is it? Introduce people to the thing. It needs to be about Kickstarter, what the actual thing is they're buying, the product, and the kind of quality and finish and production of how good it's going to be, hopefully. And then it needs to be about raising money and crowdfunding, and then an appeal for backing at the end. So I had to get all this information into kind of like a perfect 3-minute pop song. Any rappers in the room? No? I'm the only rapper in this room. Cool. So if anyone does want to get into rapping, I recommend this, the Rhyming Dictionary. Carry this around in your bag, your handbag at all times. It's a really useful tool. So I had to learn how to rhyme and rap, and I started writing down words that I wanted to talk about in my Kickstarter video. And so I started writing down words that were relevant to the topics and that rhymed. So you've got service, serve this, deserve this, surplus, worthless, nervous. And then started putting them into raps. So I was like, I opened a service to serve this demand for self-harming humans who felt they deserve this. My surplus of postcards serving these worthless humans waiting by the letterbox, getting more nervous. And I spent 2 weeks writing this. I can't believe how long it takes to write rap. I know that people like Tupac just like pen a whole fucking album in one night and bash it out. But it took me 2 weeks to write one rap. And what I did is I sat and listened to that beat I played you just now every day for about 12 hours, going mental, just nodding, sitting on buses and trains and cafes and in my house and my studio and pubs, listening to it all the time on my laptop. And I kind of did this thing where I developed this sort of way of writing where on the right-hand side I kind of had what I call like rap sketches, where I was kind of writing down little words that rhymed with each other and possible sentences and bits and pieces. And then on the left I've got more kind of consolidated bars of rap. And I wrote so much rap, I had to throw loads of it away. I wrote about 25 minutes of rap. No wonder it took me 2 weeks. This is just like some of the rap that ended up on the cutting room floor, you know. And I wrote some quite good rap that didn't even get included, like, my pen's full of anthrax, I'm sadder than Anne Frank's diary, I might be under inquiry, the Fed's trying to wire me, I'm almost at the Priory, I'm so fucked, even ISIS might hire me. Like, that's quite good, but that didn't make it in because I had too much rap, so I couldn't include it. And then when I finally wrote this thing, I carried it around in my wallet for another couple of weeks, and I just learned it off by heart all the time, learning it. And you might see me like cycling through London, just rapping. And then I thought, how do I record a single? I don't know how to make a song. And luckily, I know this guy called Hugh, who's a DJ on BBC Radio 16 Music in the UK. And I emailed him and said, Hugh, I need to record a rap song. How do I do it? And he put me in touch with a friend of his who's actually got a recording studio in his house, just a cheap setup. And he did it for me on a really cheap budget. I just went around his house. And he had one of those mics with this sort of professional circle thing in front of it. And it was really weird, you know, like, I didn't know what I was doing. And I suddenly had to be a rapper. And I wrote this rap, and I kind of made a rough cut of the beat and sent it to him. And then he made a slightly better version of it. And, you know, I just walked in and he went, start rapping. And so I did, and then did it. And it was amazing. I made it in sort of 4 hours, went in there with the lyric sheets and the beat, and then walked out with a finished single. And I was sort of going home on the train, listening to it, sort of grinning on the train, knowing that I've made my own rap song. And no one else knew why. So yeah, how to make a rap video. Back to the point. First of all, you've got to find a film crew. I'm really lucky. I know these two guys called Rex and Luke, and they're quite similar to me. They're sort of like slightly nerdy guys, nerdy white guys in their 30s who would secretly want to be in the Wu-Tang Clan. And I said to them, hey guys, do you want to make a rap video? I've made this rap song, and I haven't really got much of a budget for it, but I just want to make like a kind of 90s rap video. And they were like, yeah, we want to make a rap video, yeah. So it was like a sort of passion project for all of us. It was perfect. And then I got lots of people to help out. I got some friends to help out. We had a crew of about 13 people on the day. And obviously I have this really lovely connection with people on social media as well. So I went onto Twitter and said, does anyone want to help out do a rap video? Does anyone want to be a runner on the day? And loads of people came down and helped out. Locations were important for the shoot. So I kind of cycled all around East London and looked for places that I thought would be right. I wanted a kind of cliche sort of 90s rap feel and sort of graffiti and stuff like that, and then a kind of UK grimy kind of feel as well. And, all this stuff's really important, so I wanted to have a postbox in it, and this is just 9 of my favourite postboxes in London that I sort of shortlisted for this position of the postbox. And then, they're all good for different reasons, but we chose one in the end. And then we kind of got this down for the final shot list on the day of what we can actually fit into like a 12-hour shoot. I met this graffiti artist in an art gallery in London, which sell prints of mine, and I said, yeah, I'm making this rap video, I'm looking for locations. And he went, oh, I know this sick location. And it's a graph yard, which he took me to, and this is us doing a little recce there. It's amazing. It's basically just this kind of yard that's been left by the local council, and it's sort of hidden, and you have to go through a little secret door to get in, and it's basically just used by graffiti artists and drug addicts. So it was perfect, and we went down there, and then he did this big piece of graffiti on the wall behind me as well, which is amazing. I just gave him all the paint, and I love all hip-hop culture and graffiti and everything. These are kind of some of the books I'd be looking at when I was a teenager and getting excited about all this stuff in America, and then suddenly I had my own piece behind me. It's amazing. Outfits are important in hip-hop, I think. Who knows who this is? This is Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. This is from 1980, I think. And this is what hip-hop used to look like when it started. It was kind of camp, flamboyant, exciting, theatrical. And it's sort of, it's a shame it doesn't look like this anymore. It's a bit of a shame, I think. And then there was the kind of gangster rap era in the 90s where you've got this kind of look. And I wanted to reference a little bit of this in my video, the kind of arrogance and the swagger of it all and the ego. So I got a T-shirt with my own face on. Got that printed. And I was really pleased with it. I really liked it, but it backfired a bit because within a few hours of it going on, on the Kickstarter, I got 4 tweets from people saying, where did you get the David Cameron T-shirt from? So obviously I look a bit like him. It's annoying. Like, I think I've got one of those faces that's sort of an amalgamation of Tory, conservative leaders from the UK, because my friend Wilfred made this sculpture of my head, and it just looks a bit like Margaret Thatcher. There's nothing I can do about that. It's just my head, I wanted to dress as a postman in the video because it's about Royal Mail and stuff. I found out it's illegal to dress as a postman. I just thought I'd go on eBay and type in postman outfit small, and nothing came up because it's illegal. So this was a really difficult challenge. I had to call a lot of people, speak to a lot of people, and eventually I managed to get the outfit from a postman who agreed to illegally send it to me from Lancashire. Big up, Kev. And then I got the bag from a graphic designer in London and put it together, and I did it quite well, I think. Squads are important for hip-hop videos. You might have different words for this. Squad, crew, roadmen, gang, posse. And it's this kind of thing. Basically, it's your hype men, and they're kind of behind you in the video. They're your team, your squad, and they're kind of just making you look good. They're making you look cool. And this is a mood board I made for my rap video. This is what I thought it was going to look like. So, this is me. There I am. That's me at the front, and then that's my crew in the background, my squad. And I thought, where am I going to get this squad from? I could use my friends, but it would look a bit like this. So I went on the internet and I said, yo, do you want to be in a rap video? And I asked people to send them a cool photo of themselves. And I said, I'm looking for urban people. And it didn't work. I got a lot of photos of people that just looked a bit like me, and it wasn't good. So I abandoned that idea, and then I went to this shopping centre near me called Westfield Shopping Centre in Stratford in East London, and I pretended to be a street caster, because what I wanted to get was just basically a kind of perfect group of kind of teenage youth kind of youth. The kind of like walking around in tracksuits, just like, yeah. And I just wanted them to be in the background and have this sort of authentic urban feel to it. And so I went here and pretended to be a street caster. And the first group I saw was, and I kind of had a clipboard and sort of slightly official. And I saw this group of teenage girls, and I was like, it's about 15 of them, and I thought, they're perfect, they'd be great. And I went up to them, and I was like, all right, guys, I'm street casting a rap video. And they went, who's the rapper? And I went, it's an up-and-coming artist, actually. I can't tell you who it is. And then they started asking me all these young questions. They said, what channels is it going to be on? And what they meant was sort of like on YouTube, you get all these different channels, SBTV and all these kind of urban things. And I was losing, I was like I am now. I don't know what I'm talking about. And I started losing it, kind of looking at the floor and fluffing my words. And they could tell that I wasn't quite, didn't quite know what I was doing. And one of them just looked at me and went, are you a paedophile? And I was like, no, I'm not a paedophile. And so I was in this shopping centre. It was a busy Saturday, and there's people walking everywhere. It's so busy. And I was with these girls, and I was saying to them, stop saying I'm a paedophile. And then they just said, we've got to go now, and walked off like that. And it was terrible. It was one of the worst days of my life. And then I went for a beer, and I was like, come on, you've got this. You can do this. You've got to do this. It's so important. You need this for your video and your Kickstarter. And I spent the rest of the day following children around a shopping centre with a clipboard, staring at them, going, oh, those boys would be so perfect in my video. Look at their tracksuits. It was just terrible. So I abandoned that. And then I remembered this guy, so I was a 17-year-old. I went to an open mic night in East London. And it's this kind of thing where young people just basically get on stage. It's an open mic, and they do R&B and rap and spoken word and poetry and stuff. And I saw this 17-year-old kid called DC Scribbler who was amazing. And I remembered him, and I followed him on Twitter. And then basically I just got in touch with him and said, look, and it was kind of difficult. We had to direct message each other, and I had to convince him. This was before direct messages were, increased in length, so I had to use 140 characters or less to persuade him that I'm doing a comedy rap video. I'm not a rapper. Do you and your friends want to stand in the background and make me look authentic and cool? And he said yes. It was amazing. And they came down, and we had this amazing crew. And, some of these are actually my friends, and then most of them are them, and it's amazing. So, essentially what I did is I groomed a 17-year-old boy online to meet me in a disused graffiti drug yard, and then I gave him 100 cans of Red Stripe and a bag of money. But I think that's okay. Props are important if you're making a music video. I wanted a few things. I wanted to have a Boris bike. These are these bikes we have in London where you kind of pay it, £2, and then you have it for 24 hours. I'm normally 6.5 on the seat in height, but I lowered it to 0, so it's more gangster. And I wanted to have post, obviously, so I wrote lots of these out for putting into post boxes in the video. One of the lyrics in the song says, fuck it list, and so I made a fuck it list so I can hold that up and throw it as I say the lyric. And I just love this, when we basically had all these youths there, and we gave them vintage postcards, and they were kind of waving them around like this. And I looked at it, and I just thought, I think we might be making some original art here that's never been done before. It's amazing. We shot it in one day, 12 hours. Really good cameras and equipment. Had this guy who was a focus puller. And then we just kind of had the lyric sheets done, and we had to do every lyric. Basically, when you make a music video, you have to have one good take of every lyric, so you don't have any gaps, and everything looks good. And so we kind of made sure we did every line about at least 4 times in different locations. And then there were certain lines we had to have in certain locations because they just worked there visually. And I learned loads about making a video and, kind of marking the floor and working out where you're going to go and rehearsing. And some of the ones we did in 1 take, and some of them took like 10 takes. But it was really interesting. And we did these nice little things, like we had this bit where we put a pint down on a table and we filmed it from underneath, so it looks like it's coming down this glass table. And a lot of it just came down to ad-libbing on the day. So, we spent like months and months planning this thing absolutely meticulously and perfectly because you have this one day to shoot everything. But a lot of it just came down to kind of things that you notice on the day. So my friend James was kind of hanging around in the background, and we thought he looked a bit like a barman. So he just became a kind of cameo appearance as a barman in one of the shots. And I was mucking around, climbing up this thing, which like a signpost that you tie your bike to at the bottom, lock your bike to, and that became a nice little part in the video. And this as well, this is a location I didn't see when we were originally looking around, but I just saw it on the day. And I don't know what you think, but I think there's something really rap about getting in a load of tires. So that was a really nice little thing to do. And I saw this graffiti that said art, and I really loved it. And then when we turned up on the day, there was this shopping trolley just next to it that was in our shot, just full of sort of shit clothes and a few board games. And we decided to leave it in there because it just became a sort of funny little extra part in the video. And then I kind of push it out in a hip-hop style. And someone let off these smoke flares as well, one of my friends on the day, which I didn't know about, and that kind of added to it. And then the edit, this is the amount of footage shot, and that's the length of the final film. I think it's amazing that filmmakers can do this. I don't know how they managed to get that much down to that. It also looks a bit like a robot's penis. Don't really know anything about filmmaking, but I just got them to send me a screen grab so I could show that to you. I guess these are like bits of film, and this is sound, and filmmaking. And there were some cool little bits that were in it as well I didn't know about. So I was drinking a pint in a pub at one point during the film in the morning, because it was 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm a professional actor. I didn't want to fuck up my lines later in the day, so I spat my pint back so I wouldn't get drunk. And I didn't realize the cameras were still rolling at this point, and they put this bit into the final film, which is really funny. So should we watch the rap video? Yo, I'm the illustrator known as Mr. Bingo. The thing though is I'm just trying to give an intro to kickstart my Kickstarter with a bit of info so you can sit back in your fucking chair and watch this thing grow. Before I try and explain the hate mail process, first we need to focus on what the fuck post is. Before the internet, communication was more intimate. You wrote a letter, got an envelope and put it into it. Then, as if some act of magic like a unicorn, you put it in a red box and a man in a uniform takes it, puts it in his bag and delivers it. Now pay attention to this section if you still give a shit. Late at night alone and in a mischievous mood, I had an epiphany to send a stranger something rude. I made an offer to abuse via the postal system, and soon enough they were queuing up for me to diss them. Yeah, what? I opened a service to serve this demand for self-harming humans who felt they deserved this. My surplus of postcards serving these worthless humans waiting by the letterbox, getting more nervous. Imagine the postman's face when he saw that, an outdated format with a message reading "you're fat," or accusing you of a sexual relationship with your cat. The poor twat shakes his head and drops it on the doormat. I guess there's an element of sadomasochist. The words leap off the page and punch you like a massive fist. And it amuses, confuses, bemuses, yet people choose to do this, causing metaphorical bruises. Yet I'm not responsible for any bad feelings and dealing with the grief from the shit that they're receiving. It's possible I'm actually addicted to hate mail. Even if I lost my eyes, I'd probably send some hate braille. Yeah. The first book documented hate mail's inception, but this one is more of a definitive collection. Perfection, a carefully curated selection, and you vote to get it made, a bit like an election. Cloth-bound, foil-blocking, expert binding, a super high-end art book in case you need reminding. You might think sparing no expense is a bold choice. If publishing was cars, then this book's a fucking Rolls Royce. Some say this is my difficult second album, but how come you actually allowed your mind that outcome? I'm still the world's best hate mailer. I hate failure. My whole career's actually based on bad behaviour. Look, I'm just an artist trying my hardest to pass this test, to reach a big target. The vastness keeping me awake in the darkness. Regardless, I'm risking it and taking my chances. Yeah. So what I'm yearning is that this mad cash that we're earning converts the pages turning, and the world keeps learning that a self-published book's always been on my bucket list, and a failed Kickstarter's always been on my bucket list. So please invest, or I might turn to incest, marry my rich sister and live off her interest. Yo, but take me seriously and look me in the eyeball when I say this book could be bigger than the motherfucking Bible. So I look at a lot of pictures on the internet of cats and children, you know, in stock photography, and there's so many of these. And what I don't understand about these photos is that the child is always really happy, but the cat's always sad. And there's so many of them. There's like hundreds of thousands of these. I don't know why they keep doing this. They should just stop it. It's always the same. Happy children, sad cats. You know, he doesn't love her. So what was really nice about doing the Kickstarter as well, another thing that I thought was really important, apart from just doing the video, was to do really interesting rewards. So the rewards are obviously the different tiers you get for supporting the project. And, you know, the first two I had were buying a book and buying a signed book. And then I decided to do 19 really weird rewards. And, you know, often you'll get like a publisher project, like an author will do his Kickstarter, and it'll say you can buy 1 book, 2 books, 3 books, 4 books, a signed book. And then at the bottom there'll be some kind of experiential reward sometimes, and it's like dinner for 5 people with the author. I took that and I timed it by 1 million. So I did all these weird stuff. I did one called Get Told to Fuck Off on the Internet, which 312 people bought, and I just told them all to fuck off via Twitter with a little message to each person. And they started getting a bit weirder. I did this one, I just wrote this on a toilet wall in Hackney in London. Sam Lassen is a twat, and sent that to him. He was happy with that. He'd got his reward, but one of his friends saw it and contacted him and said, Sam, I think someone really hates you. But what was really interesting was then Sam said, oh no, it's fine, I paid for it, don't worry. And, you know, it's confusing. It's really confusing. Troll Package was one I did that the press was really kind of picked up on and interested in, where, you know, I think trolling's horrible. I don't want to condone it or anything, but if people are willing to pay me to troll them, then I'll do it, you know? So people paid me to troll them for a week, and they'd give me all their social media handles, and so, you know, you just kind of leave comments, react to stuff. So this guy had rebranded him. He'd branded himself. That was his own sort of identity. He's a graphic designer, and I just rebranded it, sent it back to him, and then just sending him sort of messages throughout the day. This is another one I did called Dirty Queen, where I offered a one-off pornographic drawing on an envelope of Queen Elizabeth II, incorporating the postage stamp as her head. Depending on the number of stamps, it may include more than one queen in a lesbian scene. And I'd done this before, so I'm really interested in kind of what post can make it through the postal system. You know, I really love doing stuff with post. And I did this on as a sort of competition on Twitter a year or two ago, and 1,000 people entered. It was crazy. And it made it through the post, so I kind of knew, well, based on this, that there was a chance that this would work. I like playing around with stamps and just doing funny things like this. This is a kind of racist stamp thing. And yeah, so these are all the Kickstarter rewards that I did, and they kind of started off quite low, quite sort of soft kind of softcore, and they started getting a bit more risque as they went on. Moving on to that, sort of, and that, so, yeah. But a lot of people were worried about this. They saw it and you said, you can't do that to the Queen. It's illegal. This is terrible. This is going to happen to you. You're going to get hung, drawn, and quartered. We've seen it happen in the past. And so I looked it up. It was a bit late because I'd already sent them all, but I thought, is it bad? And I looked up high treason, which is this, crime of disloyalty to the crown. And I looked at all the things. I think I'm okay because it's not murdering, it's not helping enemies, forging stuff, there's more murdering, starting war. The only thing I might be doing is violating, which is to treat something sacred with irreverence or disrespect. But anyway, so far it's all been okay, so fingers crossed. Getting shit-faced on a train was one of my favourite awards, where basically I quite like drinking on trains, and I offered people the chance to get drunk on a train with me. And all these sold out. It was just amazing. I kind of drew a circle around London, 2 hours away, and typed lots of different destinations in until I found places that I could afford that kind of broke even on the amount of money I had for it. And then we got shit-faced on a train with strangers. It was amazing. So, these people would just turn up and we would just get drunk. And what I really love about social media as well is hashtags. And so, I own this hashtag. I'm the only person on the internet that has this. So if you look this up on Instagram or Twitter, pretty much 100% of the content is me. So this is the hashtag getting shit-faced on a train, and you can kind of see some of the adventures we went on. And what was so funny about this was it's kind of a psychological experiment. So I'd meet 5 strangers at a station in London. None of them knew each other, and they'd all be quite polite and kind of, what do you do as a job? What's your name? That kind of thing. And then we'd basically get in a metal tube, fire through the countryside at a few hundred miles an hour for 2 hours, stop, get off for 5 minutes, get back on the train, and then do the same on the way back, drinking really heavily, and at the end of it, they're all best friends, and they're jumping on each other's backs, and they've swapped phone numbers, and they're fighting. It's so weird, really strange. When I'm not getting shit-faced on trains, I quite like drawing people on trains as well. Fuck Christmas was one that I did, where I offered to send people a Christmas card telling them to fuck off. But I did a deluxe edition as well, where you could pay extra for me, the author, to phone you on Christmas Day and tell you to fuck off by phone. And what's interesting with Kickstarter, when you do a reward, you have to give them a survey to fill in. So every survey is different depending on the specifics of that reward. And for this one, I had to ask them, where they're going to be in the world, what their phone number is on Christmas Day. And then I said, please provide any additional instructions. And this guy said, I'm a single 33-year-old guy with a fat gut and receding hairline. I live alone with 2 fucking cats and I haven't had a girlfriend in 8 years. Don't hold back. Let me have it. So, these are my customers. They're sick. They're really weird. This is one of my favorite ones because I think it's really, all these are art, these are art projects. And meet me for a pint in 5 years' time. It's such a strange concept. So people paid £200 to meet me in 5 years' time. I love that. I mean, it's the only thing in my diary for the next 5 years. It's really sad. That's literally the only thing I've got. I've got nothing else. So I'm looking forward to that. 7:30. This is the only one that didn't sell, Be My Friend. It was £5,000. And it came with these kind of small print clauses, like it lasts for 1 year, we send and receive 20 text messages a month, 6 hours per month, become friends, face on Friendsbook, social media, attend birthdays, key events, weddings, funerals, and share secrets. I kind of put this one up because I thought it was funny and it would attract people to the page and talk about it. So I'm actually glad this was the only one that didn't sell out because it would have been a bit weird. He would probably be standing with me now. So it did really well as a Kickstarter. So put all this effort in, put this thing out there, and it funded in 9 hours, 100% funded. I love the difference. That's like the smallest infographic difference ever, isn't it? There's a close-up. And then for the rest of it, it did that. So it was really good. So it ended up about 400% funded. It was great. And I kind of, I didn't let go of it. After the first 9 hours, I didn't just go, oh, cool, it's funded. I'll just sit back and let it happen. I kind of worked really hard every day to keep the momentum up, keep it in the press, keep people interested, and doing lots of stuff on social media. So this is just like some of the Instagram posts I'd be doing, kind of feeding people throughout the 28-day period. So that's to say something sold out, This was one I did, another one of the rewards I did where you could go on a date with me in a really shit pub called Wetherspoons. I don't know what your equivalent would be. But so I made these little funny adverts, and then, announcing new rewards. I'd release new rewards every Monday of the over the campaign. And this was for the Fuck Christmas one. And then I'd list what's left, so people got that urgency of things that were running out, and they're more likely to kind of click on things. And then I did stretch goals, so I did a bookmark when we reached a certain stretch goal, and then I gave money to charity when we reached a stretch goal. And then did these kind of little, teaser, 24 hours to go, last day, 1 hour to go. So I was constantly kind of feeding all this stuff. And, it did so well, and I think I'm kind of good at this kind of marketing stuff. I wonder if I should just get a job in advertising. But I don't want to work in advertising because I don't want to use my ideas and creativity to sell shit. So I'd rather use it to make art. And when I started getting all this money, it was going crazy. I realized that it was like, thousands of pounds were coming in. I was like, what am I going to do with all this money? And I started coming up with new ideas for book cover that would, I could spend it all. And a lot of people think I made £100,000. So the total was 35 grand, my funding total. And I took 135. So there was this kind of common misconception and myth that's still going around, I guess, that I made 100 grand. But this is actually a breakdown of what I spent the money on. So that's dropped pledges. So that's people that have backed the project, and then the bank details didn't go through, or they were away or something. And then Kickstarter fees, book pre-production, spending money on making the rewards, printing the book, posting the book, 20 grand. The bookmark, extra rewards. I started paying off people as well when I saw the money was going crazy. I paid the guy, Eli, that gave me the beat for free, gave him some money. The rap video, I gave everyone extra money that helped out with that. Gave that money to charity. And that's all I got. Oh, yeah, mistakes, just like when you're posting stuff and it hasn't made it, or you've got something wrong and you have to do it again. And then that's what I ended up with the profit. It looks like a French fry. But what I did get is this beautiful book that I made. Cloth-bound, foil-blocking, expert binding. A super high-end art book, in case you need reminding. You might think sparing no expense is a bold choice. If publishing was cars, then this book's a fucking Rolls-Royce. So what have we learned from all of this? I've learned that working with people who can do things you can't is really good. So I've spent most of my life just doing stuff on my own. I'm quite a kind of solo, kind of loner type of worker. And I've always liked being that way. But then with this project, it's the first time I actually worked with amazing professional people that did stuff that I couldn't do. So I learned to make a book. I learned to rap. I learned to record a song. I learned to make a rap video. And I learned to do a Kickstarter and all this amazing stuff that I never would have been able to do on my own. But getting all these people together and collaborating on a project meant we made this amazing thing. I also think that if you think you can do better than what's already out there, you should definitely just have a go. So I looked at Kickstarter videos and I thought I can do better than that. And I looked at, the way people do rewards and thought I can do better than that, and the way books are made and everything. And so I just think if you're dissatisfied with something out there in life, whether it's a product or art or music or whatever it is, and you think you can do better, you shouldn't just sit and complain about it. You should really have a go and do it. And I also learned that people are more willing than you think to buy stupid things. So it really restored my faith in the public. I love the fact that all these people, I just put this stupid stuff out there for a joke, and they all got sold. It was amazing. So what's next? This is what people are always asking me. Basically, I peaked last year. I made a fucking rap video. That's the peak of my career. It's going to be downhill from now on. I don't know what's next. Everyone keeps asking me, what's next? What's the next big thing? What's your next big idea? Are you doing another Kickstarter? I don't know. Stop asking me. Leave me alone. I don't know what I'm doing. I've actually hired a motorhome. I'm having a midlife crisis in June. In the first week of June, I've hired one of these, and I'm going to go around England trying to make art and music and seeing if something comes up about it. I mean, this is my romantic vision of what I think the holiday is going to look like. It's more of a sort of UK version. It'll probably look a bit more like that. But that's what I'm going to do. I've got some ideas. These are some of my ideas. I'm hoping to make some of these into things over the next, 6 months or a year. And my main thing I want to do from now on is basically stop working for companies and make art for people, not companies. So that's my kind of little motto for the rest of my life, hopefully. If you want to take any notes of any of the things I've been saying in my talk, this is a summary of key points.